Assalamu alaikum, fam. Hope you're doing well. So, I want to break down this TV show, well, Netflix series actually, of this. I think it's I'm not sure if it's North Korean or Chinese, but it's Asian, and there's a lot of interesting things to think about when it comes to that show on Netflix. So, I first heard about it because my little one came home and said, "Oh, mom, have you heard of? Oh, it's Korean. Oh, Major Malarkey. Hey, is that after Joe Biden? That's funny. Why'd you delete your message? It's funny." um, so what was I saying? Oh yeah. So my little one came home and said, um, "Mom, somebody drew a triangle on their head, and they kept saying Squid Game." And I grabbed a piece of paper off of their head and tore it into pieces and threw it on the ground, and the little boy started crying. And I said, "Huh, Squid Game, huh?" And mind you, this is like young kids, kids younger than 10. So I was like, but I guess kids are scaring each other with this game. So I went and I looked it up, and I found out it was on Netflix. I watched the whole thing. Great acting, very dystopian, great writing. I mean it's filled with so many things you can philosophize about. Whew, I mean, it has humor, it has sadness. It is pretty well done, I must say. You got to give it that. So there's some things that I want to break down with it. So in there's gonna be spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, well, oh well. So I'm gonna only say a couple points about what I noticed in episode 1 of Red Light Green Light. I will also do the whole series. So I want to give you some comments, and then after I say some of the things in episode 1, I'll do a Q&A with you after, and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about, and then I'll mention it next time. We'll go deeper into episode 1 until, inshallah, we finish the whole thing. So, one of the things in this episode of Red Light Green Light is debt and betting. So if you notice, when you first watch the episode, everyone is really excited. They're at a horse track. And it appears that the main character, he has an addiction to gambling, right? He has also stacked upon himself massive debt, okay? And he seems to be unable to stop, right? He can't stop betting. He can't stop. There seems to be the way in which the character does his acting is that he's addicted to his betting and gambling. And I really thought this was interesting just because gambling is not allowed in Islam, from what my understanding. You're not allowed to gamble. And I watch horse racing, but I never bet. I do like watching horse racing. Golden Gate Field is in California, so there's really fun horse races and such. But the people kind of wear weird hats and stuff. It's kind of a little bit strange. But those horse race, you know, jockeys, they're pretty small people, and the horses themselves, some of them are very shiny and just wow, thoroughbred, just stunning horses. So you can go there and just appreciate the animals, right? But the kinds of people who go, it's usually depicted in a sense of, you know, the wealthy go, right? And common people like me or like you, we go for like the excitement of it, whereas some people go to a horse race for the status symbol. So this character, the main character, I haven't been able to pronounce his name in Korean, forgive me, so the next time we'll dive deep into it, I'll make sure to write down his name in a way I can remember to pronounce. But he is excited. He's like jumping up and down. He first loses bets, and then he gets 4 million right? He gets 4 million from the horse race. And everyone is super into it. And it's funny because his friend, I don't know if it's his friend, but the guy who was there was like, "Hey, do I get anything?" And he's like, "No, you don't." And he tips 10,000 won, which is a currency they have, to like the cashier lady, and later he goes back and gets it. But I just thought to myself, that episode, that scene, the way in which the actor depicted the euphoria of betting highlights the sickness in it. Lee Jung Jae. Oh, okay. He used up all his mother's card too and left his daughter fatherless. Yeah, Unknown Rebel. You've seen it? Look at that. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. So what happens is, there's all this action in the horse racing and stuff, and it's super exciting. And a lot of people are there, and it really just kind of highlights the atmosphere, right? So the desperation that the actor portrays, you can really connect with it, right? You're like, we are these sort of observers who are watching, and he can truly just encapsulate the sickness, the mental illness that comes from gambling addictions, right? Because it is kind of just chance. Because if you notice, when he is deciding which horse to bet on, he says is his daughter's birthday. So the numbers of the horses, it's chance. He wasn't researching, okay, this horse is from this stable, this horse is from such and such, it's this tall, it has a record of this. No, he's literally just making random, like he goes like this, like on the bubbles where you can put your bet. And it's like, come on, what's going on here? Like, you would think that somebody who is into betting would do a better job. But that's what the whole point, though, is that it highlights the sickness that he has as a character, right? And so the wealth that he gains from that is it's chance. It's not skill. It's like this feedback loop of desperation, and that's what's really awesome about the way in which the actor depicted that. Was he is infected with this gambling addiction, right? And it's just surprising because me and you, maybe we don't feel anything when you win that. But there's two factors here with the character. It's his addiction to gambling that makes him be excited at his win, but it is also the fact that he won a huge jackpot, right? And okay, so he wins this jackpot, right? And he owes these like Chinese triads, Chinese, Korean, Asian mafioso type guys money. So as he's celebrating his win, calling people on the phone, he steps out of the building, right? And he's like, "Oh, And then there's the guys there, and they're like, "Hey, hey!" And he's like, "Oh, geez!" And he starts booking it inside, right? And it's interesting because you have to wonder how those, like, they're not bookies, because bookies are the guys you call, like, they help you do your bets, and then you have to pay them something. But these mafioso gangster guys, they must have known or gotten a tip from an insider that the guy who owes them millions of won of their currency is inside that building. So that's something too, if you think about it. He has all this debt. He's gambling at the horse races, and he gets out, he wins. So there's some points here. Somebody must have, if you analyze it, been there at the horse rack, saw him that he won, and then called those gangsters, right? And we're like, "Hey, your boy who owes you money just won. He's stepping outside right now." Or the other factor is they hang out outside of the horse racing center to see if anyone who owes them money comes out with a win. And I thought that was something that if you go too fast past the episode, you might not pick up on. So what's really interesting about that episode in that section of those scenes is that somebody knew he had the money, somebody knew he won, and somebody in the building might be feeding information to the loan sharks, they're called, the people who you ask money from. And they're waiting there for him, so it's kind of just showing you how he was lucky to win, but that luck went away quite quickly when he was doing his exit strategy, right? Now, I don't know about you, but when I watched that scene, I thought to myself, oh man, this is intense. Like, he just got 4 million won. How does he even feel safe, right? How does somebody not jacking him all right there, especially because he's kind of bragging and showing off? You know what I mean? So it's really, really interesting. Salam Nair Ben Salma. Salam alaikum, salam unknown rebel. Um, so he has like this a lot of luck and then a lot of unluck in a very short window of time. Because remember, he has like this roller coaster of emotions. When he's deciding, he gets nervous and screams, right? And someone's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "I'm just trying to think." So his mood swings highlight the intensity of the character and also the skill of the actor as well. And when he wins, he's excited, right? He's showing off. He's not worried about anything. Goes outside, he's immediately fearing for his life. You know what I mean? So it's like he's always up and down, up and down. And this is just introducing the character, and it gives you this feeling of, okay, we're going into a sort of mental gymnastics with this character. Okay? So the debt collectors, they chase him into the bathroom. And I think all of us know what's going to happen to somebody who is stuck in the bathroom, right? They start beating him. And I mean, it's like, it's sad because he's a character who he's getting beat by these people he owes money to. And uh he gets, beat down, and he's sniveling, crying, and these are cold, hard, loan shark gangsters who are like, we want our money. And he's like, "Oh, I had it," and then he starts fumbling around in his pocket. And when he was running away from those debt collectors, he bumps into a lady who will save her for later, but she becomes a very important character in the overall season. But she bumps into him. Now, this is the tricky part. We don't know if she bumped into him intentionally or unintentionally, but she is a pickpocket. She is somebody who is a thief for a living. So when she bumps into him, she seems to be a character who stands around at the whatchamacallit. She stands around at the races, kind of waiting to bump into somebody to take their stuff, because her character later on becomes a character that you can see she's a professional pickpocket. So she must stand around in the lobby of the horse racing Salam Mango Tea, and she seems to have, picked him for a second. And it's sad because he bumps into her, says, "Excuse me." He hands her his wallet, thinking it's her wallet. "Notorious revolutionary, salam, salam." And he accidentally gives her his wallet, which has the 4 million won in it. You're like, oh, geez. We don't know that till he's getting beat in the bathroom, right? And so, as he's getting beaten, the actors did a great job at like showing sort of Asian toughness. So they beat him, and then like his nose is bleeding, and then like they take their finger and they wipe it and they lick it and they say like, your blood is sweet, so you must have been eating good. So if you have money to, basically they're implying you obviously are not suffering because you are eating well. And jeez, it's like who says that? But obviously these are people who are, sent to get the boss's money back, right? They're not going to have too much pity on the main character because they know he is a financial degenerate, you know? And so in that episode, uh, it is very interesting because you get to see the aspect of Asian toughness and an aspect of the goofiness of the character in contrast to the tough guys in that scene. So as they're beating him in the bathroom, right? They make him, you know, they take a knife and they put it close to his nose and they're like, "You better give us your money that you owe us," right? And he's like, "I will pay you. I'll pay you. Give me a month." So they hand him a clipboard, and what's really interesting is that they make him sign off one of his kidneys and they make him sign off one of his eyes. Now, this was an interesting moment because organ harvesting is a very, underground market. And that scene is is very interesting because he agrees to sign off his eyeball and his kidney if he cannot pay back the money he owes, millions of won, that he lost gambling to his degenerate addiction to the people he owes money to. So they hand him a clipboard. He's bleeding, so I think he takes some of his blood and he puts his thumbprint on the form, and it's basically he's signing away his body parts in order to pay his debt, the debt he got. Now, what's interesting about this is that how many people would do that for other kinds of debt? It's really quite intense. It's really disturbing at the same time because you get to see the aspect of what will a human do in an act of desperation to pay off that kind of sum of money. Now, you begin to see clearly that the sum of money is a very relevant factor in the entire season. In every single episode, money plays a key philosophical, allegorical role, in the entire season of Squid Game. And so it's really interesting because we know that there is a lot of organ harvesting in the world, right? People make a joke, "Oh, don't fall asleep in this hospital, you're gonna lose a kidney, it's gonna get sold on the black market." Like, people also who can't get on a donor list say that they, try to get organs on the black market. There is a huge world phenomena of buying organs on the underground market. So this series on Netflix, this particular scene in this episode 1 of Red Light Green Light, where the main character signs off 2 organs uh for that, it's like, whoa. Me and you would think, ain't no way I'm signing off an eyeball or a kidney to pay off debt. But then again, hopefully me and you, all of us, we're not in debt for millions like the main character was. So so as he's doing that, they let him go, right? And he gets to get up and they leave it, and as guess what? This is what's brilliant. So he signs the paper off to give him his organ. Then as they're getting up to leave, he says, "Can I borrow 10,000 won?" And it's like, dude, you're gonna borrow more money? You know, like what the heck? So he's like, can I borrow 10,000 won? And then they're like, ah, and they give it to him. And then you become even more disturbed as a viewer because already since the beginning of the episode, you've seen him get angry that he lost the horse racing, then get happy because he won. Then he gets all this money, and then he bumps into a lady. She gets his wallet. He gets beaten up. He's sad. Then he signs off his organs, and then asks those same loan sharks for 10,000 won. You know, and you're like, what is going on with this guy? You know, it's like, oh my goodness, you know, what is going on? You're like, what is this guy doing? But that's sort of the clever brilliance, is that you begin to see, this guy has gotten him into a he's gotten himself into trouble. He kind of has earned it, right? This is the thing you have to remember through the whole episode and season overall, is that the players have brought it upon themselves in a way, right? They keep gambling, they keep betting, they can't stop, and they're never satisfied, right? So he gets the money from those loan sharks and he leaves. And it's interesting because he decides to go to like a a kids arcade. I don't know if you've ever been to a kids arcade, but they're like, there's like a claw comes down, you get a prize. So he starts having an addiction even to playing this little game where he gets to get like a stuffed animal, a toy, and he gets angry and frustrated that he can't get that toy. And so you're like, what? You know, like he's had such a long period, right? Like even just in the first opening part of the episode of like up and down emotional, and now he's upset that he at this game that requires chance. It's not really about skill necessarily, but he's trying to get that prize. He can't do it. He's spending money. He can't do it. He can't even get this little stuffed animal that he wants for his kid. Then some kid comes up in the arcade and he has a whole bag of stuffies, you know, and he looks at him and he's like, here, you have to do it this way. And this kid shows him how to do it. And it's interesting because you look at the kid and you're like, what's this kid know about that? And he decides to help the guy out, gets the prize, and he's so happy now. He's jumping up and down, he's shouting, he's super excited that he was given, you know, like this opportunity to have a helper make him get that toy. So, it's interesting because he can't seem to stop. He seems to like the addiction to getting something, winning something, and then, you know, getting this sort of huge dopamine hit that feeds into his addiction as a character. So, from that part, you begin to see. So, he takes his daughter out to eat. Then you see the relationship he has as a father to his daughter, where he's not a very adequate dad. He has this sort of like, I don't know, he's a soft guy, he's nice, but he seems to be, you know, a bum. He doesn't seem to be a very responsible father. He's a habitual gambler, and then we learn within the episode that he is not living with his ex-wife. He only gets to visit his daughter. You know, he kind of buys her an inappropriate gift, which looks like a toy gun, which is a lighter. And even the little girl comments, I don't think Mama will like me having this toy, right? So you begin to see a clue into what kind of person he is with the gambling aspect, but also he's not even respected much as a father, right? So you begin to see his character as something to be, he's dopey and he's dumb, but he's nice. right? And so he ends up uh, trying to get the subway train. I think that's what they call it there. Subway train home. And there's a guy in a suit. And what's funny is he's like, I come from a long line of Buddhists. And he thinks it's a Christian missionary, but it's not a Christian missionary. It's actually a guy who tries to offer these people these opportunities to play a game, right? And we'll get into what that game is, which is the whole point of the season, which is something very, very interesting that other genres have hit upon as well. So there is he goes to him and he's like, do you want to play a game? It's interesting because there's a blue paper and a red paper. And he tells him, if you win, you get $100,000. If I win, I get $100,000. And he goes, okay, right? And the thing is, you as a viewer, you're saying to yourself, this guy is already in debt to the loan sharks. He just got beat up by the Chinese gang, asked for 10,000 more won, and now he's betting $100,000 to this guy. So clearly, within the first episode, you begin to see that he's definitely like the relationship he has to gambling is something perverted, it's distorted, and disgusting because he's so weak and unable to control his addiction, his bad habits. He's a slave to betting. And so they play the game, and eventually he loses a round, and the guy says to him, if you let me slap you, I'll take off some of the money. So he ends up getting slapped and slapped and slapped, and then he keeps saying, let's play again, let's play again. And when he loses, he gets slapped. And when he wins, he finally jumps for joy and he gets a case filled with money. And what's interesting is that the money is 100,000 won in a case. And he hands him a business card and says, call this number if you trust us and you want to play a different kind of game. Now he goes, you saw that we keep our word, that we pay money when we say we're going to pay you. So if you want to play a game and get even more money, essentially, call this number. And it has the PlayStation type of symbology there. Hold on, I just had to put that lamp down a little bit more because my birds think it's daytime because of the lamp. And so, that's interesting, that point right there is just the symbols they decided to use. Because me and you, I think all of us have probably played Xbox or PlayStation, right? And the fact that the series decides to use the kind of square, triangle logos is something you can really start to think and wonder about, right? Because the game in your PlayStation, your Xbox is not real life, right? It's not deadly. It's not, people have this thing where they say, don't get absorbed in the sort of digital realm. Don't let the gaming console rewire your brain. Okay? So already that card having those symbols on it, it's a little bit of like, hey, it's just some symbology going on here, right? And if you die in the PlayStation game, in the Xbox game, you come back. But in the Squid Game series, as you know, as we'll go on, you don't come back. There is no second chances. So it is really interesting how he gets that card, and then the guy leaves on the train and waves, and he goes away, and he ends up calling the number and then going to this facility. But what's interesting and a little bit freaky is that he gets into the van, and in the van, there's a gas that comes out psst, that puts all the people to sleep. So they can't see where they're driving to, right? And the driver has a gas mask on so that he doesn't obviously get passed out from the chemicals. But they end up going. He arrives in this facility and he has a uniform on and a number. 456 was his number. And he wakes up and there's everyone else is in a bed and they're all in the same uniform. Yeah, Lee Major, I can't wait for season 2 as well. Uh, and he wakes up, he sees like, hey, and there's all these other people there, and they're all wondering, how do we get here? Obviously, they knew they got in the van, but they didn't know that they would be sort of put upon this bed, and they had all of their belongings taken. So their watch, their shoes, their cell phones, everything is taken. And all of them have a file with their name on it. They have a file with all this stuff on it that helps to identify them, and it is something that is very interesting because as we learn, every single player there is in debt. Every single person who arrives at this island is, I'm talking like millions of dollars in debt. Well, they don't have dollars, sorry, wands. They're millions, basically a lot. And so, in episode 1, and then I'll do a different stream where we break down, episode 2, 3, and so on. But in episode 1, you begin to see how it is just quite dystopian because it really plays upon your like overly trustiness. So the Red Light Green Light is a game that I played as a kid, and the fact that the series uses kid games, PlayStation symbology, there's something to that because kid games are usually innocent, whereas these games are life and death. So in the first game, the players do not understand what the consequences of losing are in the game. So there's a robot there that has sorry fam, my birds keep thinking it's daytime, like early morning, because of the lamp. So forgive me for Uhtred squeaking. But there's a robot there that looks like a child and has weapons attached to it and laser eyes. And in red light, green light, you're supposed to, when it's red light, you hold still. You're not supposed to move. If you move, the robot puts a bullet in you, essentially. So in this game, the players don't understand that this robot is going to shoot them. So they all play, and it's funny. I won't do the biggest spoiler if you haven't seen it, but I think all of you know where I'm going to go with this. Player 1, the old man, he gets excited and he goes first. And as some people move and fall, and the robot turns around and like just shoots all of them, and well, the ones who moved, and the players are like, oh my gosh, and so they're totally terrified. And then they learn that, like, there's this giant piggy bank, and there's money that gets poured into it every time a player is eliminated, and eliminated means killed. So they get, this is an interesting psychology part of the episode, is that every time someone dies, money gets put into the piggy jar, and they know that if they win, they get that sum of money, right? And this is really interesting psychologically because the games seem harmless, but in fact, they end with players' deaths. And what's interesting further is that there's these really, it's very unique, these characters, these guards. They're in pink. There's these guards, right? And they have these really nice looking weapons. And they have a mask on, circle, the PlayStation symbols, right? A square, triangle, and the square, the triangle, and the circle, they all have like authority and duty, right? When they can talk, when they can't. And they wear these pink suits and these black masks with the symbol on it, and they go around cleaning up the bodies. And so as they clean up the bodies, um, they put them in a box that has a pink bow on it. Now, what's interesting about this color stuff is usually you affiliate pink, girly, soft, cutesy, fun, babyish, nursery, but they've inverted it in the episodes where the most kind of cold, sinister, dead-eyed, blind-eyed cleaner-uppers of the bodies who carry out the rules of the, elites who run the island. They carry out the task of cleaning up those bodies and putting them in an incinerator, right? And then those characters, we don't, in season 1, we don't learn a lot about why they are there, but we learn a lot about why the players are there. The pink soldiers, they are there, but we don't really learn a lot about them in that episode. We learn more about the players. So that game, Red Light Green Light, was just a way of initiating those players into this life or death game. Now, what's interesting is that there's this democratic rule they put into the game where if the majority votes to stop the game, everyone can stop the game. But in the season, you see a point, this comes up 3 times, which I won't spoil all for you right now, but in the first chance, people vote to stop it, but you won't get the money. And if you do, if you do follow through with it, someone's going to get the money. But the players think that, multiple people will survive and split the money. But as we know, there's, this is like a funneling to the top, right? This is like a funneling where you start with a lot of players and it gets quite narrow, as you know, if you've seen it. But the soldier characters, they are very dry. They don't speak. And the way they walk is very like formulaic. And the music is a little very creepy. But the players, you don't see their faces. And what's interesting is that if the players take off their mask, I mean, not the players, the soldiers take off their mask, they will be executed. So that was interesting because they were not supposed to reveal their identities. None of the soldiers are allowed to take off their masks, which show the triangle, the square, and the circle. If they take it off, they're executed. And the soldiers are there to obey the commands of the game, and also they execute everyone who loses the game. So it's really interesting how in the first game, a robot executes the players who lose. So you don't exactly blame the robot, but you're like, that's a crazy robot. But later on, it's the soldiers who walk around with their weapons, and whoever loses the game by the time the timer runs out or they don't even finish, they get executed. This whole dynamic in episode 1 is quite interesting because you become familiar with the character and why he chose to go to a strange, like a strange opportunity to win money when he's in debt. Now, we won't break it all down now, but it is quite telling how you get to see what financial desperation and gambling addictions will make people do. So the whole series builds upon human folly, human sin, human temptation, greed, and vanity, and other things like that. So it's really quite telling how you begin to see this and come to terms with it and really self-analyze yourself and say, geez, how many people are in debt today? Debt is slavery. And this player island already brings about, like, okay, look what you got yourself into. Do you want to get out of it? And if you do, prove it. Prove it with your life. So the main character already he he's bet in the first part his organs, and now he's bet his life on the line to win money. Now it goes on later in the episodes to get really interesting on why he wants the money, how he will use the money. We'll get into that another time. But just the fact that this brilliant way that the writers depicted the lust for money and what it does to the human psyche and what people will do for money and what the wealthy will create when their money is so full that they will want to see things that maybe they shouldn't see. Now, it's interesting because look how the Italians had the Colosseum in Rome, okay? Look how they had the Colosseum in Rome, and then contrast that with the Squid Game and how the Squid Game operates around a kid's theme. But the end is the same, except one is for glory and one is for money. When a gladiator would fight, the person who owned him would get some money, and the gladiator would get some women or sometimes buy his freedom. But he was in a coliseum that was more for the spectators of the masses and the elite. Whereas it appears the players in Squid Game are being watched by uber rich wealthy people in masks who want to see people debase themselves and harm one another for the sake of money so they can get out of debt. And this plays upon themes of the Hunger Games. Many people, anthropologists, spiritual people in general, have spoken about, really sinister rich people. What will they pay for? And what will a poor person do in order to get money? So there is so many clever psychological points already in this Squid Game episode 1. So I just wanted to share those specific points with you about episode 1. Then later in another stream I'll break it down even more until we finish the whole thing. But I just thought to me, I was like, hey, I definitely want to talk to the fans about this. So now, fam, I'll pay attention to your chats. I'll read your chat now, fam, and then we can talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. If you want to talk about Squid Game, we can talk about that or anything in general. Anas, Squid Game is a series on Netflix? Yes, it is. Walaikum salam, Anas. Are you going to tell the entire show? You just should reflect on it. No, I'll do both. Because not everybody can watch it, and not everyone has a Netflix membership. Who is this? Okay, hold on. Okay. So anyways, yeah, fam. I mean, it's really interesting how that whole episode is. So, I mean, it's just quite brilliant. I mean, you gotta have respect for the people who came up with that, you know? Lee Major says, I'm gonna go to sleep. So long, fam. You should do some live reaction of each episode so we can all watch together. Well, you would get copyright strike. And I don't think Netflix allows um stuff like that. Oh, Ali Abawa says there's a guy called Ali in the show. Yeah, it's interesting, but did you notice how his name is Ali, but he's Hindu? That's kind of a weird slap in the face, right? And that character gets tricked. And he's kind of an abused worker who gets like some of his. He has like two missing fingers and such. But it is interesting. Salam kaka mama. That's funny. Did you know that kaka means poop in English? Or in Spanish as well. I don't know if you want to have that name, fam. Unless you put it on purpose to be funny. Uh, Truth and knowledge. Hey, fam, how you doing? Salam. Have you been following the Malcolm X case? Very shocking stuff. No, I haven't. Um, it means Anas says it means the same in Arabic. Really? I wonder if they put it there to be funny. So it's like poop mom. Testing, testing. Zane Solo says. Uh-huh. Lee Major says, LOL, Kaka means father in Pashto. For real? Uh-oh. Poop father. Kaka says, I'm following since a long time ago and I had a feeble... What does that mean? Anas says, Kaka means poop in Arabic. For real? That's interesting. That's funny. So what are you all up to? What time is it where you all at? It's like, I don't know, like 9 something here or something like that. Isha prayer is already over. I already did Isha prayer. Kaka foot player means a football player? Anas says there's a Brazilian soccer player named Kaka. For real? Brazil is pretty good at soccer. Truth and Knowledge says, so a while back, Malcolm X's daughter made a Netflix documentary to poke holes in the mainstream narrative of who assassinated Malcolm. Interesting. Isn't it, I don't know, the CIA probably did that, right? Tamara Khair says, Slum says, sending love from Australia. It's Tuesday, 4:44 afternoon. Oh, nice! How you surviving in, Australia? Must be pretty crazy right now. Zane Solo says, what time is it over there? It's 1:45 here in Malaysia. So let's see. 9:44. Oh, Tamara says, don't ask. Yeah, because I know they watch people in Australia to see what they're talking about, right? They knock on doors and stuff. It's pretty scary. Truth and Knowledge says the dog forced the FBI to reconsider the evidence, and the people got released recently because they were falsely charged. Whoa, that's pretty trippy. Kaka says, I'm from Morocco. Nice. Fatuma says Kaka means brother in Swahili. For real? Interesting. Tamara says, no, that's not why. I don't care what they think. Oh, that's good. Interesting. Well, you're very, very bold, Tamara. So, what's your plans today? What's your plans? What do Australians have for breakfast? And I'm sure people tell you this joke all the time, but I have eaten kangaroo. It was actually pretty interesting. So I have to say, Truth and Knowledge says, so the daughter of Malcolm that exposed this stuff was found dead in her apartment today. What? Wow. Lee Major says, Kayla means banana in Pashto. Really? And I says, maybe it's pronounced differently. Maybe, but K-A-K-A? I mean, you know. Do you follow MMA after Habib retired? What do you think about Hamza Chimes? Haven't followed him, fam. Haven't really been paying too much to any MMA recently. I haven't really seen any like impressive cards that I wanted to watch. Tamara says kangaroo was not my jam. Oh, I understand, fam. The Desi Neo says, don't you feel that Squid Game is a little like Islam? Like majority of contestants fail, only very, very few win. Just like how Allah says he created most of mankind in jinn for hell. I mean, but the point of Squid Game is to get money. The point of life on earth is to worship Allah, have Tawheed, and get into paradise. And paradise has gardens, it has... it doesn't require that you harm others' lives by ending their lives. in order for you to earn paradise, unless you were gonna say like military exploits. I mean, no, because in the Squid Game, it's rich people paying to watch. You know, the money they donate is for the people to compete and harm each other for, so they get a bunch of money. But few people get in, maybe you could put it that way, right? Chandler versus Justin Gaffey was very interesting. Oh, nice. Kaka in Kurdish language means friend. Whoa, so we're learning all these different words for Kaka, and still, it's like most people would think of the poop angle with that word. If you said it, someone would be like, "What'd you call me?" You're right. Uh, that's interesting. But the whole competition of getting into Jannah, right? Said says, out of the blue, just came across the comments in your recommendation to Muhammad Hijab. You got some beef with Sheikh Uthman Sajid? I wouldn't say I have beef with them, but I know they don't like me and their fans hate me. So, you know, what are you gonna do? That's life. Lee Major says, what's crazy Squid Game is possible in real life. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we're all heading that way. You know? Do my little one wear the hijab to school? Yes. So he says, why though? Well, I don't want to stir a pot, but they have made, not Uthman, but his fans, clearly, they're the ones who send threats. They're the ones who are use intimidation. I mean, all when we trace back their channels through law enforcement, we see who they follow. Other sisters warned me about them, saying, you have to watch out. They are more extreme. Um, I don't want to reveal too much, but I'll put it this way. Sajid, from my understanding, doesn't like someone like me who studies philosophy, who studies theology. He's very heavy Salafi, so he doesn't have any love for my type of mind, my consciousness, my goals, my channel, and his fans blame me for the most weirdest things. They make all this conspiracy theory stuff up. They do. I mean, it's just plain nonsense. But they, you know, have issues with me, and I just don't think I vibe. I'm very unique, so I'm not gonna get along with everybody. That's just life. But oh, and one of it is, yeah, I have something to do with that as well, though, because with Sajid, he probably got offended. Uh, he probably got offended by how I think he ran away from apostate prophet. And me and Sajid have different ideas on what Muslims should be doing. So he doesn't think Muslims should be reading everything, learning everything. He thinks they should just stick to only Islamic knowledge. There's a bit of me that's like, you live in America, you live in Texas, you are Western educated, but these people who are Americans who get money from people in the East, sometimes I think, are you saying what your donors want you to say? Because slandering America seems to be very popular with certain Muslims. I mean, don't get me wrong. I say a lot of political things about how we can fix my country, no doubt. But I feel like there's this point of, are you slandering America because you want to get that money? And if you are you saying what you're saying because you believe it? And do you really have all this knowledge? Because I know he said things to me where like, you shouldn't be reading everything. You should go get knowledge. And it's like, I have a lot of knowledge, right? It's like, what are you talking about? We never stop learning till the day we die. But when it's like, if he claims to have all this knowledge, went to, I think, Medina University, he knows all this stuff, why not have a third party debate with like why not have like a third party debate on like modern day debate channel with AP? Let's prove what you have. But that's me, that's my bias because like in politics, I do a lot of political commentary with all kinds of people, right? And if someone says, I am a communist, I am a communist, I'm a communist, but they never debate communism, it's like you're not going to really listen to that person. If somebody claims to have all this knowledge, but you never get to see it in action, off a script, live, in front of you, you begin to have suspicions. Because, like, for example, news anchors on CNN, those are talking heads, right? They read a script, they have their points, they appear to be like smart, but they're not. But real journalists like We Are Change, Luke Radowski, uh, people like that, they are independent and they speak their mind and they'll debate you wherever you are. And they're always doing something like challenging their minds, challenging their ideas, putting their reputation on the line. So you get respect for them. It's like if someone keeps telling me, I'm a good fighter, I'm a good fighter, I'm a good fighter. And it's like, hey, has anyone seen this guy fight? No. Why don't you go do a boxing match? Oh, no, no, I don't need to. He's a nobody. It's like, would I believe this person? Because it's like, if no one's seen you fight, I don't know. I can't say if you're a good fighter. So, in the intellectual octagon, the intellectual arena, if someone claims to be so smart, have all this knowledge to where they tell other people like me, I have no knowledge, what I do doesn't matter, like I'm not valuable, I'm a fitna, I'm those all these bad things, right? Nothing I have matters, like nothing I do is helpful. Okay then, how come I'm trying to get ready to debate AP, but you got more subscribers? You are supposedly this really smart guy who went to a great Islamic university. Why won't you have a debate then? They say, oh, it's not worth my time. No, 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 I don't believe that. That's like somebody who they're getting ready to fight, like Timon and Pumbaa. I don't know if you know that cartoon, Timon and Pumbaa. But every time Timon goes to fight, he goes, let me at him, let me at him, let me at him. And Pumbaa holds him back. But he knows every time he says, let me at him, let me at him, Pumbaa pulls him back. But Timon only says, oh, let me fight him because he knows Pumbaa is gonna pull him back. So people do that where if they know their fan base is gonna pet them, like let them be relaxed, like, oh, he's not worth your time, he's not this, he's nobody. It's like AP has more subscribers than you, bro. He gets more attention than you. And I've seen AP's work showing up in my political feed. So he's obviously relevant. He has more subscribers than Farid Response. He has more subscribers than Gabriel, Three Muslims, than me, than a lot of people. So we cannot say he's not. And I've said this before. People should challenge him, and you don't stop. Like a champion doesn't stop until they get old and they can't fight anymore. Like, look at Floyd Mayweather. I hate that guy. But the dude keeps fighting. Right? He keeps his skills up. So for me, because I have a different mindset, it's hard for me to believe somebody has all this knowledge if they never do a live, like, really testing of someone's mind. So that's how I look at it, right? It's like, that's my bias. That's how I look at it. But, you know what I mean? You feel me? So, it's not that I have a problem with Sajid. It's that I don't like the way in which he views me, and he obviously doesn't like the way in which I view him. And so, when he made that video of suggesting that Muhammad Hijab take Sheikh Uthman to Jordan Peterson's podcast, that looks like a really babysitter move. That's embarrassing. And I know Sajid and Muhammad Hijab have had problems in the past. I've seen the older videos on other channels where Muhammad Hijab and Sajid didn't get along. So when Sajid says something like, "Oh, you should take someone with you," it's like "Oh, you don't have enough knowledge. You can't handle it on your own, and you should bring someone with you." And it's like Jordan Peterson did not invite Sheikh Uthman, and it's like Sajid is just trying to get his sheikh more famous by making him be able to get there. Like if I show up to a job interview and I bring my friend with me, the boss is, I mean, the manager is going to be like, "Who's this?" And they're going to be like, "You're here for a job interview? Like we're here to interview you, not your friend." Like if, it's rude. It's bad manners. You don't, like Muhammad Hijab had a big opportunity, right? He has a big opportunity that he did he's going to release it soon. But you don't want to mess up your opportunity because you're putting pressure on Jordan Peterson to have Sheikh Uthman there. And Mufti Menk is someone who should be interviewed by uh Jordan Peterson just because of the subscriber count. Like there's like other sheikhs, Asim Al Hakim, who's way more strict and like, whoa. Like you want to see intellectuals, you want to see the wisdom side. I mean, Peterson is a Harvard professor who, so he has some people from Israel who are his friends. Uh, he gets Jewish money. He's controversial sometimes, right? So Sheikh Uthman doesn't belong there. No one knows who he is that's a Jordan Peterson fan. Muhammad Hijab is more known than Uthman. So trying to be like this punk move where you punk your enemy by implication, like, "Oh, bring, Uthman with you in case you don't know something." There's something I noticed, and I don't know who's doing it. Muslims look weak when they need 5 Muslims on one. Muslims look weak when you need 2 and 3 people for one opportunity. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't handle your business on your own. You got to call your friend. It looks weak, right? It looks like an intimidation tactic. And people have spoken about this, but Muslims, I don't know. The Dawa people, you guys don't want to listen. I don't understand. I mean, Sajid as an American knows these mannerisms of, if you go to meet with your professor, you don't bring your friend. It's one person at a time. And Uthman can wait in line for his invitation. He doesn't get to piggyback off of someone else's invitation to get more exposure and more fame. No, that's messed up because it makes Muhammad Hijab look like a baby if he brings a sheikh with him. People want to see the mind of Peterson and Muhammad Hijab come together. They don't need a third wheel. They don't need a fourth wheel. You know what I mean? It's not that kind of vibe. So it's inappropriate. And it makes Muhammad Hijab look weak if he were to listen to his enemy's kind of advice on bringing a babysitter sheikh with him. That's how I see it. And I've been a fan of Jordan Peterson way before I became a Muslim. So I know Peterson fans. And I know how non-Muslims would see that. And too many voices in the room is just like, come on now, right? People don't want to see that. So with the advice I gave Muhammad Hijab is like an honest opinion. And other people are free to agree or disagree. Whatever. Cool. But Sajid has a bias to not like intellectuals. Okay? Clearly he has his very strict view that he believes in. While he's giving Muhammad Hijab advice on who to bring with him to an event, Sajid won't go up against AP. And it doesn't matter if you think AP is this or that. Let's see what you got. Don't talk about it, be about it. Handle your business and go do a debate. Do it. It just is weird to me. I don't know. There's something going on here. I don't know. There's some trickery. There's just some like phony, fake. Like some people care more about their fake reputation than losing a intellectual battle. Like you win some, you lose some. You can't win every debate. You can't win every fight. And if you don't want people to see you lose, and you only want to have them see you win, you're more fragile than what you're letting on. It's like if somebody fights more with other Muslims but doesn't debate apostates, what's up with that? That's what I think. Muslims, I notice in the Dawah scene, they love fighting with each other, but they don't like debating apostates. Only Muhammad Hijab really goes into debates. He goes at it. But the apostates channels, they all keep going every day. And if Sajid has all these subscribers, he tells me I don't have knowledge, I should go and learn. He says, like, oh, no, Muslims shouldn't be reading everything. He clearly doesn't like my message. Okay, then let's see how much knowledge you have. If you're going to sit here and tell Muslims the only knowledge they need is Islam, the Hadith, the Sirah, and the Quran, I can see why you're trying to give Muhammad Hijab bad advice. Call it what it is, a spade, but I can see through some tactics. Like when I argued with Hamza of Hamza's Den, hey, I had thousands of people just saying insults constantly, right? Non-Muslims were like, hey, I saw what you meant. But Hamza's Den fans were like going nuts, making up lies, creating huge amounts of drama. I had to block some crazy people. One person made a video of me, put Arabic subtitles, and said they reported me to the terror watch list. It's like, what? Like, I had people doing the most strangest, bizarre hit pieces on me with all this, like, made-up stuff. And I dealt with that. But you're telling me that Sajid won't go debate AP? It means he doesn't want his fans to see him not perform good. And if you never want people to see you in a different light, you only want them to see the filtered, constructed, formulaic, pretty, like smooth way, something going on there. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just more open. I don't know. You feel me? I don't know. Because you know me, I'll share a funny video. I'll show you my authentic self. You can disagree with me. You can, oh, Milan's this, Milan's that. But at the end of the day, it's like, how do you put it? Like, you see my real personality. Yes, young Mullah, I do interact with the chat, but I'm like, just finishing that question. So that was a long answer to that comment. L Channel says, the internet is filled with psychos from all folks of life. Yeah. Lee Major says, Hijab tried to delete AP, but AP got cold feet, remember? I guess. But Hijab's done a lot of work. It's time for someone else to put in the work, you feel me? Not everybody can hide behind Hijab and Fareed. But that's the thing. Mango Tea, can I join the live stream? I don't have Streamlabs. Are you okay financially? Yeah, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. But that's my point, you know? I guess, I don't know, there's so much more you could say about it, fam. You feel me? Let's see what somebody said. Lee Major says, Muhammad Hidab shamed Mahdi Tijani about the videos he did about you in his podcast. Yeah, Mahdi, in his community post, he said, every time an enemy talks about me, I get more subs. Which just, I was given some advice that this guy is a reactionary. He just wants views through conflict and, what is that called? Provocateur. So I was like, dang. I shouldn't take his videos seriously. I should have ignored it because he was just fishing for more subs. He wasn't really genuine. He wanted to have a debate on the three Muslims, but people advised me like he just wants subs. He just wants subscribers. You're not gonna change his mind about how he hates single moms. It's not gonna work, right? What's problematic about Muhammad Hijab? Nothing. I just mean as in like he's putting in a lot of work and other people got to step up. You feel me? I think there was a misunderstanding with Hamza's den. We're just different personalities. I learned a lot from that where I need to be very careful with who I talk to theology with. That's what I learned from that, Lee Major. I learned that, you know what? Not everybody is like on the same frequency mentally to talk about the complexities of studying other religions and how you become this sort of academic scholar, and like not everybody has the same goals. So clearly me and Hamza, we did not have the same goals. You feel me? So I wouldn't say it was a misunderstanding. I say it was a discovery. You feel me? Abdul Mutalib says, "Did you hear about Malcolm X's daughter?" Truth and Knowledge just posted that in the chat that she's apparently been taken off the map because of a documentary that she did, which is it's quite sad. But those kind of things are happening more and more now, fam. It's a very dark road, isn't it? It's quite sad. What do you think about that, Abdul? It's people send a signal, you know? The CIA and FBI are very corrupt institutions in America. Lee Major, exactly. Yeah, it's something we all have to be careful about because our FBI and CIA are heavily political, rogue institutions. Very corrupt. Poor America is really going down the drain with honor. Abde says, "Do you wear a niqab in public as well?" Yes, but sometimes I wear a hijab and face mask. Young Mullah says, "Oh, they reach high in the positions." Exactly. Yeah, yeah, very true, fam. It's just intense. Intense. Also, I don't know if you remember, fam. Oh, yeah, all this censor on social media. Yeah, so you should join Brighteon, BitChute, DLive, Odyssey. You need to expand. If you can, create your own website. Start your own streaming network. Because YouTube constantly plays around with my views, my likes. I see the analytics change, and that's how you know YouTube messes with you. I've talked to other content creators as well, and people know how YouTube operates. It's political left-wing agenda. DuckDuckGo plus BitChute. You know, Said, I was thinking about downloading DuckDuckGo. It's so interesting you mentioned that. Zane says, "What's the difference between NOI now and in Elijah's time? Nation of Islam now and Elijah's time?" That's a good question. I think they would have less power because they did not want race mixing, and so many families are mixed race, right? Young Melissa is waiting for Trump's True Social Media. Yeah, I'm gonna join it. You bet your bottom dollar I'm gonna join Truth Social. No more fake news and censorship. Exactly, Young. Lee Major, I feel you, fan, but he always says he is open to speaking to you again. Don't believe it. Lee Major, you gotta understand something. What Hamza did was brilliant. Was he went with the emotional appeal and with the perfect Muslim appeal. I don't know if some people picked up on this, but other people did. So when I said you should study Christian dogma, he said, as a Muslim, I don't need to. Now, other very orthodox Muslims, people like Sajid, will say, yeah, F studying other religions, F those people, only study Islam. When an academic says, yes, you should study before you speak. So then when I said everyone should study hadith, and he said no, well, that appealed to the Quranists, that appealed to people who don't like Bukhari, who don't like Sunan Abu Dawud. He did a clever chess move. Then he was even more smart, manipulative wise, is that he made a video saying I went to the enemies of Islam, uh, and blew that up. He really put gasoline on it. When in my view, it's just a simple YouTube chat. If you see me, I'm always in the apostates chats. I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere. And he knew that I don't agree with your answer. I thought AP and David Wood had a better answer just because I felt like the den did not answer the question, and that's just me being honest. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But he made it sound like a big deal, and like I had people commenting saying, I don't know what's going on. I've only watched an hour of the drama, and I mean, people by the thousands were making things up, threatening me, being insane, saying I was working for the CIA. I had the most strangest people. So Hamza did something clever. A very clever chess move was, I'm the perfect Muslim. And then people said, I'm going with Hamza because he acts more Islamic than you. And it's like, no, 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 no. And like his fans were saying I'm a secret Christian. And it's like, no, 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 no. I am a theologian. I am somebody, and always have been since the founding of my channel, a nerd who studies many subjects. And the Salafi group like Sajid does not like that. And clearly, Hamza acts like an authority on Christianity, yet he himself has not studied the canon. And I, as an intellectual, don't respect that. If somebody says they're a champion boxer, but they don't know how to do a proper left hook, I therefore cannot call them a champion boxer because you don't know how to do a left hook. Do you see what I'm saying? So, non Muslims saw and understood me, but it was amazing to see how the Hamza's Den fans took the worst interpretation. They made it sound in this very manipulated, distorted way, and to me it was like, it's a YouTube chat. I didn't agree with Hamza's performance. Why is that a big deal? And I was honest. See, I'm honest when I don't agree with somebody. I'm honest when I say like, no, I don't think you did a good job. And then people like said you're causing a fitna, and it's like, I'm not gonna hide who I am. Yeah, Hamza's straight to the punch, right? But it's like, so am I. So when you have, when two bullheaded people get in the same room and they're clashing heads, what do you expect? You feel me? That's why I was like, so many childish people, like, I just don't agree with the dude, how he behaves, how he is. I went in his chats and saw what people said, and it's like, wow, these guys are a bunch of effing idiots. And then like people were saying like all kinds of stuff, and you're like, it was a huge eye opener, because you're like, that's how quick people can turn. And then he said something, your name will get marked. And it's like, oh, that's a threat. What you mean my name's gonna get marked? Like, oh, cancel culture. If you're cancel culture. What the hell? Who gives a crap about cancel culture? I can what the world is a huge place. But see, his goal, his agenda, his style, my style were two different people. And it's weird how people couldn't just say, here's two Muslims, they're opposites, they didn't get along, move on. You know? It's just really interesting. But for me, it was like just another day. But some people for weeks just wouldn't shut up about it. I mean, geez. I had people messaging me just whining as if like their world had fallen apart. It's like, dude, why are you caring about YouTube drama between two people who had a disagreement about a dead Catholic scholar and hadith? You see what I'm saying? It's like there are so many other things you can think about. Well, you know? Truth and Knowledge says, if you had the chance to revisit your interaction with Hamza, what would you do differently? Uh, I think I wouldn't have stuck around so long. I would have just said, I'm leaving, bye. That's what I would have done. You feel me? I would have just been like, you know what? We're disagreeing so much that we're gonna go, but see, I wanted him to upload it so that he couldn't lie. I told him, upload this video, and I accepted all the backlash, right? Thousands and hundreds of people just being crazy. But I wanted people to know the truth. You know? It started as a discussion, Vishal, and turned into like, a tense thing, you know? No, I don't think it, not every debate hardens hearts. Some discussions can harden hearts as well. Just depends on the people and time. Said says, I commented once or twice regarding this, but then deleted them because I didn't want to ignite anything between two Muslims. What do you mean, fam? People argue. I mean, think about when Ali was in power, right? When Uthman was in power, when Abu Bakr as-Sadiq was in power. I mean, if you think about it, humans have conflict. Not everybody can agree all the time. You feel me? So sometimes you just have to wait a couple days and it's over, right? What's interesting is that I moved on very quick that same day, but then I have moments where I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna get angry and say something. Hanzo said something, but his fans just really turned up the heat. It's Dajal's work, says Jason Pan. So yeah, I mean, some people they want, and you know what? There was people in the comment section who were adding to the fuel and like for malicious aims. You feel me? Zane says, if I was Hamza, I know what I would do. I would say, okay, Milan, tell me about Aquinas' work because I haven't read any of his works. Hamza did ask that, but I clearly, when you know someone doesn't give a crap, because he said, no, I'm not going to read Aquinas. I don't have to read Aquinas. I don't care about Aquinas. Then you know why you're going to waste time telling somebody. You feel me? I'm not going to. That's why I got so angry and I said, Aquinas' work speaks for itself and I'm not going to sell it to you. Go read it for yourself. He said no. And when that's why I mocked him, I said, Google, Wikipedia is not enough to say you know a scholar. That's just how I am. You have to read someone's work and then speak. You don't read Wikipedia and then say that's all you gotta know, right? So if someone is debating Christians and didn't even know the name of Aquinas, that is something I lose respect for. Sorry, that's just how it is. That's like an imam not knowing who Buhari is. That's the thing is, Christians and non-Muslims 100% understood what I was saying, but it was like no Muslim besides a couple understood what the hell my point was. And that blew my mind because it freaked me out. I was like, oh my gosh, like these people are going to sit here and call Hamza the Christian destroyer when the dude doesn't even know Aquinas. And that to me shocked me. And then when he's like, I'm not going to study it, and it's like, well, then you should shut up about Christianity. And then he hasn't read the whole Bible, just read the Gospels, I think, and a couple other things. And it's like, well, then shut up. If you don't know the difference between Presbyterians, Protestants, Catholics, Lutherans, Methodists, Mormons, then I don't want to hear your opinion. I don't want to hear it. Right? So we were just on a completely different level. And you not everybody can get along. You feel me? That's how I look at it. Not everybody can get along. You know? Angelina Jolie says we are backwards for banning her new movie. What is her new movie, Alibaba? Truth and Now says, even though Hamza was clearly wrong, I think you overreacted to his ignorance on the topic. I don't know, it's easy to say that when you're not in the hot seat. No. I was insulted and disgusted, and I have a right to feel how I want to feel. Right? I have a right to feel what I want to feel. But no, because I got other opinions. I got non-Muslims' opinions, and that's how I knew I was right. It's like when it isn't you in the hot seat and someone has pissed you off to the point where you're like, oh, I hate this person, it's very easy to say you overreacted because it's not you there. Like, I have arguments with people and it's fine. Someone wants to talk about Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden. You know, we can talk about politics and I'm not going to get angry. But there's a certain behavior, and Hamza's personality gets under my skin like a nail in your fingernail. You see what I'm saying? You know, take a needle, put it under your fingernail, and push it. That's how I felt. Not everybody can get along, fam. You feel me? And you know, I wanted the video to go up because I just didn't want him to lie about why I turned down the job for the arena. Right? I didn't trust him, and I didn't want him to lie. Okay? Because he obviously studied me, and I felt like he wanted to piss me off on purpose. He was a shitty interviewer. He didn't do a good job. He pissed off the person he's interviewing. Any person with good intentions wants the interviewer to relax, to vibe, but he chose to criticize how long it took me to say my shahada. That's personal. So he got attitude, you know? Vishal says, all these groups are innovations beginning from early church fathers. I mean, sure, you can say that. You're entitled to your opinion, you know? AL Channel says, I watch EF Dawo a lot. They admit they don't know much. We all can learn. Stop spamming about that stuff. So, yeah, fam, it's just really interesting. So, everybody, hey, Sahi Luke, how you doing? Alibaba says, Eternals, it has some, the movie was banned in some countries. Eternal. That's the Jolie movie? I don't think she's that great of an actor. She played in that one movie, Maleficent. Do you remember that movie? Babar, that topic can't be discussed on YouTube. You know that. You can't talk about that topic anymore on YouTube. You gotta go to like other apps for that. You know? The algorithm on YouTube will detect that and will cause you problems. Youngmua says, that's the only movie you know with her? Yeah. It's in Tomb Raider, right? Wasn't she in Tomb Raider or something? You know? Oh, and wait, hold on. Her husband Brad Pitt, didn't they have the Smiths or something? She's not that good of an actor. She's very beautiful, but not a good actor. Hey, Sati. He appeals to emotions and to a fickle crowd. That's not very good for one's faith. The more grounded a Muslim is in knowledge, the better off he is. So true, Sati. Do you learn Arabic? I'm trying. Sahi Luke, I'm good. Thanks for asking. I hope you're doing good as well. Yes, fam. Young Mullah says, yes, the Bone Collector too. Very good. Oh, the Bone Collector. I've heard. That one sounds familiar. Wasn't that like in the 90s? Fatuma says, why do you keep repeating the cue regarding her being open about her blank? Well, Fatuma, I put him in timeout because he's probably a Mahdi fan. Yeah. Young Mullah says, I like psychological movies. Yeah, that's why the Squid Game, why I want to break it down is because it's definitely psychological. Dystopian, but definitely psychological. Jahwar says, how can I explain to feminists about hijab? They say women in Islam are locked in cover, have no freedom and equality. Please give me some point, sister. Well, I would talk about how not every woman wants to be uh, an object. Modesty is a virtue. There's grace in it. There's comfort in it. There's nobility in it. There is a very graceful finesse to the hijab, and that you can explain to her that many Western reverts, like myself, quite enjoy it. Quite feel like a deep sense of attachment, right? Because I know I have, and that's a very special thing to me. So I think that's something that you could mention to a feminist. Lee Major says, I respect your point of view, sis. Inshallah, we should forgive in future. I don't know. Forgive who, fam? Which person? Saint Soul says, have you read Alexander Hislop's The Two Babylons? I haven't, fam. Kakamama says, can you tell us how the Islam improved your life, please? Well, Islam has given me a lot of discipline. A lot of discipline and the wonderful concept of Tawheed, which has made me feel very strong and fortified. Very strong and fortified. And fasting during Ramadan is also something that has made me learn to control my appetite. Not that I have a bad appetite, but you know what I mean. And it provides lots of structure, regimented type of existence, which provides guidelines so that you don't go off the rails. Even though sometimes we do, but we're able to get back on the path with our salah and with learning, right? Lee Major says, I played Tomb Raider games. I think Jolie is based on Angelina Jolie. Yeah, that was her character. PlayStation 1, remember? Abdullah says, I have a personal problem when I get to know a sister and their family is against marrying a convert or someone outside their race. I don't know what to do, and marriage is really important for me. Oh, that's so sad, fam. I'm sorry you're going through that. You know? That's so sad. I don't know what to tell you, fam. I just can say I hope that maybe you meet someone who doesn't care about race and your revert status. That's very sad, fam. Thank you for these points, but they counter it by saying that the women lose their identity by covering them up completely. I like losing my identity. I like having the niqab. I mean, just this year is fine for me. It's nice. And then the other fancier niqabs, obviously. It's really nice. I like it. I really do. It's peaceful. I don't have to worry about the vanity. It's very it's just so peaceful. You feel me? Do I wear niqab outside? Yes. I've mentioned that and I've posted pictures as well of that. Best psychological movie is Gone Girl. Oh, I haven't seen that. I've heard of the title, but I haven't watched it myself. Yeah, psychological ones are, really good. You always have to look at what's the subliminal messaging that they have going on. Yeah. It's like you can see, the hidden messages, you can see the goals. You will live it. Oh, interesting. So you're very into movies. Like a movie commentator, very into cinema, huh? I see that, young Willa. Kakamama says, I think bring us the Sakina. What does Sakina mean again, fam? I don't remember what that means. The goodness? Brings us the goodness? Reward of Allah? That word sounds familiar. Explain what that means again, fam. Morning coming. Oh, nice. It means peace. Oh. Oh. Why didn't I remember that word? Truth and Knowledge says, I'm thinking about a YouTube idea for the future, like a call-in show where people tell us their supernatural experiences. I'm going to call it the Jinn Experience. Would you think? Yeah, I say do it. Do it. But just make sure you don't get trolls. Because some people are mentally ill and they actually hallucinate. They're schizophrenic. So you're going to have to watch out for that. Because a lot of people use drugs and then they hallucinate. You feel me? Hey Rashid, assalamu alaikum. Ali Abawa says they asked a famous Korean male group about their celebrity crushes. Their answers were all white. What do you think? Well, Koreans are almost white, aren't they? I mean, Koreans are pretty pale. Last time I checked. That's probably why. Sahi Luke says, your uploads regarding study are encouraging and inspire me to expand my knowledge and abstain from being complacent. Also, I will be done writing my book in January. Perhaps you would like to read my manuscript. Well, when you finish, I can just read the book itself, fam. I can buy it on your website. You feel me? Young says, I don't think there's many black people in Korea. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, who wants to live in North Korea? You feel me? South Korea is much different than the North. I had a classmate who went to South Korea and ate some food and stuff. But North Korea, that's a whole different ballgame. They check what you record. They really watch you. Do you experience any racism because of your niqab? Well, the niqab has nothing to do with race. You mean to say Islamophobia? Uh, because I'm pale, so I don't think so. I mean, the niqab wouldn't affect how someone sees my race. It would just be like discrimination. Some people look weird at me, but it's okay. Alhamdulillah. That's part of the struggle for Allah, right? Everything can be easy. Alhamdulillah. Fatuma says, have you read The Return to Modesty book by Wendy Schalt? Hope someday you write a book for the youth growing up Muslim in the West. Thanks, fam. No, I haven't read her book. Do you like it? Zain says, have you seen Maji's film, Muhammad, the Messenger of God? 2017 film, I think. No. I saw that older one. What's the older one called? There's like an old one, like, it's like made in the 70s. I don't remember what it's called. The Message? Something like that. Kakayamama says, why do you like to read all kinds of books? Because you gain knowledge, perspective, insight. Yeah, Zane Solo, The Message, exactly, yeah. I watched The Message. Yeah, totally. The Message was interesting. We need more stuff like that. But more of like the battle scenes. You feel me? The battle scenes would be pretty cool. Lee Major says, love your motivation videos. Thanks, fam. That helps. Korish Haddad said, learn Quran possible? Well, everybody can learn the Quran, fam. Right? Of course it's possible. Anything's possible when you turn to Allah, right? And supplicate. Practice makes perfect. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if kids can do it, why can't adults? Unless you have some type of learning disability. Something like that. Islam in Spanish. It's a YouTube channel. They're doing great work. Yes, I bet. I think someone told me about that. Their Instagram page, too. Yeah. Very true. Okay, fam. Well, we discussed Squid Game, part of that, and did a nice Q&A. But hopefully, you'll have a good day. And then in the future, inshallah, we will discuss and break down all of the messages, takeaways from the Squid Game because, I mean, there's so many ways you could say why, but rich people are crazy, and Epstein of Epstein Island, Bohemian Grove, there are these places where elites already go to do bad things. So the richest in the world can afford to do whatever they want with peasants. And at the border, 2,000 children went missing. And many people have talked about that. Where did those kids go? Who bought them? Human trafficking is a problem. Illegal organ harvesting is a problem. So this movie Squid Game, which obviously Hollywood has produced, has many things that can make you ponder and reflect about reality, our future, and if you notice, it's not the first time a movie series has spoken about the degeneracy and psychoticness of very, very rich people. And history books also have many things about rulers who did the most depraved things in their private quarters. So this is very interesting. And the fact that the Squid Game talks about debt, and today many people are in debt, can really make you wonder, what's going on here, right? So let me know what you think and, stuff like that. But have a good night or day, and thanks for tuning into the live.